Jackson gave me the news of a planet far away. And Colonel O'Neill will assemble a team that will try to save the day. Dr. Sam has a master plan and a science attitude. And the Jaffa Teal, he's part of the deal with his trusty Goa'uld. It's just a regular day, it's Stargate Command, and it might be hard to understand.
Chevron 1 encoded. Chevron 2 encoded. Chevron 3 encoded. Chevron 4 encoded. Oh no, this is gonna happen. Chevron 5 encoded. Chevron 6 encoded. Chevron 7 what? We have a stable world.
Welcome back, everyone.
Woo! Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm your co-fry, Sarah.
I'm your co-fry, Christina.
I'm your co-fry, Rebecca.
Ooh.
And it's been a minute, but we're back. We're
It
ready
has
to-
been.
Been a
We
hot,
promise
hot
we're good.
minute.
We promise we're gonna get better, but things have been busy.
I feel
around
like
the
this
old-
is
We're still doing it. We're still doing
No.
it.
We still
you
do.
know
We have no
what?
plans
Like,
to not do it. So
tis the season of it because remember, I feel like last year we took like a month hiatus. Like we haven't
right
been
around this time.
we haven't
yeah.
been taking the like hiatus in like that form. So like I think it evened out. Like we've been taking
Yeah.
like a couple weeks off and getting back on, but yeah, it is what it is. It's
We
just the
did-
time of year.
We didn't record last week because we were at an event. So if you
Yep.
want to jump in the fry box real quick.
Hold
we
on.
have a
Hold on.
link
I'll
for that.
jump us in. You ready?
Yeah.
Short, cause we're 3 Fridays short.
So last week we did a virtual event through the Companion with Walter or Gary Jones. Is it Gary Jones, right? God, I don't want to get his name wrong.
Oh, Sarah.
Well, Walter has so many, it's hard to keep track of who is who. So
It's very
Gary
true.
Jones, and it was with the Companion. Rebecca, do you want to like tell us, since it was your baby, like would you like to
Sure.
talk about your baby?
Yeah. Well, so we talked about it actually last episode when we
Mhm.
mentioned it. It's been that amount of time since we did one, but so it was an event called Gate Tech 101, and the idea was Gary Jones came and hung out with us, and as Walter taught everybody in the event how to be a gate tech.
It was
Yeah.
so fucking good. It was so awesome. Like, I don't know. I really feel stupid that I missed the memo to stay for the exit interview. But like, it was so fun just to have camaraderie with all the fans from different places that they got the information. And I thought that was cool. Like, people found out about it from so many different ways, but
Mhm.
it's just such a cool judgment-free zone. It's like everyone's been best friends forever. Like, and I love that is what you were able to bring to life with that event. And you did such a good job, Rebecca. Like, we're really owning that. And then Gary is just fantastic.
Thanks.
It
I
was
mean,
so much
Gary made that event easy. I mean, Gary made that event what it was. But also, sorry that you missed the exit interviews, but I was there for a good 2 hours talking to
Yeah.
everybody. So it took a long time to get through everybody because people were willing to stay, which was really cool. And what I loved is not only did they have a good time with Gary, but like everybody in the exit interviews talked about it was so cool to be with that group of people. So
Mhm.
like it made me super happy to know that that was a key takeaway for a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
And everybody looked great too. Like it was just like people in cosplay, just all together. It was just so much fun. It's like
Mhm.
the whole concept of it is like, what would I like to see that's like I've never even seen at a convention or something? Like, what kind of event can we do? And we did that one, and it was great. So I
So
think we're
good.
going to make it available. Like anybody can watch it, so we can pop
Nice.
links up and stuff for people to see it once I get it up and finished editing. So
Yeah.
Yay.
so that being said, in 1 week, in less than 1 week, on Saturday, March 25th, we have another event with the Companion, which is not a role play event, but it is with Michael Shanks. And it's He's titled it. His title for it is "Movies Where We Meet the Neighbors." Um, he's really big on movies, and so the whole
Mhm.
concept is we're talking about 5 different movies. Most of them should be movies that most people have probably seen if you're into sci-fi, because it's E.T., Alien, Arrival, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Contact. Contact might be one that maybe if you're not a 90s kid, maybe you are unfamiliar with Contact, but that movie, I didn't give it enough credit when I first watched it, but like it's actually pretty solid movie. So it's all about first contact scenarios, basically, and that's why it's movies where we meet the neighbors.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that.
so his whole idea was because we pitched a couple of different events to him, and he's like, I really like the book club thing, but I'm not really a big reader, but what I do love is watching movies and talking about movies. So that's why we're doing it. So like you can come hang out and talk movies with Michael Shanks, and of course we will give you time for questions that are outside of the movies. Don't worry, you can ask your Stargate questions too.
Just don't ask if he was afraid of the replicators. He's gone
Oh.
on record.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, don't piss off the Shanks, please. Like
Let's not do that.
yeah. But it's been really cool. He's been really back and forth. He sent a list and we narrowed it down, and so I think he's excited about coming and chatting with people. So if anybody out there wants to come, tickets are available at thecompanion.app/events. And there's also another one coming up in 2 weeks after Michael Shanks' event with Paul McGillian called Pets with Polly. So if you want to come and hang out and talk about your pets with Paul McGillian.
Oh, that sounds like so much. All I can think about is the AI drawing that they did of him as a dog.
Dog McGillian.
As your perk for coming to Pets with Polly is your own version of that mashed with your pet.
That's
You and your pet.
Oh,
Mashed up.
cool.
So
Alright,
we're doing that for everybody that comes to
Tuxie, get ready. Get ready.
But yeah.
We're gonna mesh together.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, it'd be like if Tux and Christina get mashed together. What is it going to look like? I've seen the sample ones of some of my coworkers. My current favorite is Ben with his he has rats, so it's Rat
Oh,
Ben, and it's
cool.
wonderful.
That's
it.
awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yay.
So come look at our events, and we're trying to get more and more going, and we're trying to also figure out. I know these VIP events, they're fairly high ticket price because there's very few people in them, but we're playing around with other options and other ideas as well for different things and different tiers. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun what we're trying to come up with and some ideas that we have. So I have to be very vague about it at this point, but stick around and keep an eye on things.
Super secretive. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's good Frybox stuff. I love
Yeah.
that we get to be like the Frybox of what's happening in Stargate world.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, super cool.
I was about to say
Anything
we're
else?
dialed in, and that's kind of funny on multiple levels, but
Oh God. And pre-apologies. I am like fighting off the tail end of a cold. So I am disgustingly sniffy and I'm very
I was
soft.
gonna say you
Sorry.
sound like me. My allergies are bad.
yeah,
Oh,
I was about
yeah.
to say I've just surrendered to my allergies at this point. It's
It's just
awful.
what it's gonna be. But I'm being aided by the last of my white wine. So
Excellent.
There you go.
it's gonna be a good
Clear
one.
it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I spent 3 days without power here in Northern California.
Oh my
so-
god.
Oh
Why?
yeah. Oh,
Dang.
you guys not know?
Mm-mm.
Like we have a massive so after this, look up, you should check in on Annie also. So Northern California and Southern has been hit by like back-to-back atmospheric rivers. So there's so much wind and snowpack up on the mountains, and part of it started
Yeah.
to like melt and flood, and our power lines
Whoa.
have gone down. Yeah, so I was without power. I flew home on Tuesday from John's, and I was without power from Tuesday morning until Thursday night.
Wow. So
Mhm.
basically, y'all are having to deal with like what happened, like in the South when we
Mhm.
have weather like that because the infrastructure is just not there.
It's just
to
not
take
there
care
for
of
it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a little
We're-
messy up here. So
We're built Ford tough up here.
You are. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
you are.
we have one snowplow for the entirety of Greenville County.
The
I'm
further north
sure.
you go, though, the better they get. Because I have friends in Boston who their Department of Transportation is way better at clearing snow than even we are. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
the further
I mean, it
north you
makes
get, yeah.
it makes sense if it's like, something that hardly ever happens. Why are you're not gonna spend that much money on
Well,
it,
and the
know?
hard
Mhm.
part for us is like the saturation. So we've got redwood forest around. So you get a
Oh my
redwood
God.
forest tree branch that falls.
It's
you're
like a whole
down.
tree.
Yeah. So like we're not dealing with like little trees. This is redwood. So when the redwoods
Yeah.
start falling, this is like
Each of their
Yeah.
branches are like regular full-size trees.
it is. They're massive. But anyway,
Oh
so
wow.
I'm on the tail end. I got a little sick because of it, but we're here. We're
Yeah.
gonna get through it. It'll help with this episode. Help with my voiceovers. I'm
All
ready.
right. Ready to get into this episode?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
So we're talking about season 3, episode 10, Forever and a Day. Is it Forever in a Day or is it Forever and a Day? I
I
had
thought it was forever
in.
in a day. Is that wrong? Because I typed it. That's
I
what
don't
I
know.
typed.
Hold on. It's forever in a day. So
Yep,
in one
yep.
day,
Okay,
forever in
okay.
a day.
Okay, that makes sense.
You got it right. I was like, I hope we're right because both of us did it. I photoshopped it onto that picture, so
So I do have a cryptic image for this episode. We're revisiting that little.
God, I can't wait to figure it
Stunt.
out.
do you
Rebecca,
have a moment where you want me to reveal it or you want me to reveal it now? And then as we're talking through it, maybe we can
I feel like now
to
so
figure
people
out?
can follow along because it was
Yeah.
so. I like was
Okay.
trying to figure it out as I watched the episode, and I'm just so lost.
All right.
Okay.
So here's the picture, everyone.
if you are not watching on YouTube, it is like a vintage 1950s era like drawing or painting of a
Housewife.
housewife in front of a fully packed refrigerator.
You know what's really funny about that fridge? The tiny, like the
Yes.
two shelves in the door
Yeah.
is like it's a massive fridge and it's these tiny little shelves on the door.
But
Like
also, like, I'm trying to decrypt what's in it because I was getting all in it, Sarah. And I
Don't
was
read.
like,
Don't look too deep into it.
I'm not, but
it
I
is what it
did.
is.
But then I was like, what kind of fridge is this person? Because it's like bread on the bottom or something. There's a bunch of meat. And then it just looks like boxed
Hmm.
food up top, which is like, why would you? Anyway. And then
you know
I
what
thought
she
of
doesn't
burger.
have in that fridge?
What?
Entropic Cascade.
Tying in the cryptic
God.
image.
I love it. Okay, so keep
So
that in
everyone-
mind.
Keep that in
as we go
mind.
through this.
If anyone is watching and you kind of know what this is, please don't spoil it. We'll reveal it at the end because it has to do with more overall themes of the episode.
We should
Um,
throw it up
and-
on the Insta too for people there.
Yeah.
The old Instagram.
I liked my guesses I had, okay?
Yeah, and I'm not. No more guesses. So
Okay, no more guesses. All right.
I appreciate the effort. I love it.
All right,
So-
let's get into it.
What are your guys' overall thoughts about this episode? Before we get into it scene
mhm.
by scene,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts, feelings, emotional outbursts, like the general vibes about this episode?
I'll go first because
Yes.
I don't have many thoughts about this episode.
Mm.
It's
It's-
just not it's just like meh to me,
So
honestly.
this is where like the like weird part of me gets in because as someone who like deals with like lucid dreaming and like hallucination like type things where like there's definitely predictive behavior and like the visions I see and like things I dream of and then what happens in life. I find this episode very interesting because it is this like connection between the beyond and the now and like really like layering it on top of each other, like really like I find it an interesting portrayal of communication or like memory because like obviously without spoiling anything we're going to get into it, but my thought is like it's obviously a flashback through a like mental communication that happened between Shari and Daniel. And so I think there's a lot to do with grief. I think that I do appreciate Daniel's process, but I overall, I find it interesting to talk about this, like the beyond, the conversation, like what happens in beyond, because we haven't really gotten into like ascension in that place really a lot yet. So I find that this is like our foothold into that space and to talking about it. and it gives us purpose. It gives us kind of a path that we needed to go on, because like we needed to like end Sharae so Daniel could move on, but then also give him another purpose, because he is definitely a purpose-driven character. So without his purpose, what is he going to do? But overall, it was just a lot of back and forth and like choppy, and I don't like the execution overall. But I appreciate the topic and the conversation.
I'm kind of in the middle there. So like I appreciate the conceptualization of like it's kind of like a trip, like an acid trip or like a hallucination, something like that. Like you're tripping on shrooms. It's this vision, like a vision quest. I don't know if that's the proper term for it. So like something like that. But also it's kind of like a nothing sandwich too, because like it's kind of just there, and then
I like that, a nothing sandwich.
But
Yeah,
like
just
it
like-
is. But I do but in the nothing sandwich, I feel like so if we were to think of like Daniel as this nothing sandwich, or that storyline as the nothing sandwich, sorry, cats are fighting. It at least shifted the inner ingredient. Like it took out being a PB&J and made it a like tuna sandwich, because it like took something out and was like, okay, well, she's dead. We still need to have something for him. We want to go on the spiritual quest. So it's still nothing happened, but it was like redirected. So I don't know. Like again, nothing happened, but I think it's, if you look back on it, for Daniel's purpose, it had to be sealed up, because he hadn't talked about Shari in a while. He hadn't talked about any of that. And so I think they realized, shit.
Oh shit, we should
like-
probably take care of
Like,
this.
and that's what it felt like. It felt like they were going, shit. Like, we need to like
guys
get
are
back
like
to it.
you guys are hitting the nail right on the head, because I found some quotes from show creators
Yeah.
about this actual thing, and it honestly only makes me hate this episode more, because they're just like, all right, let's fart something out so we can get on with the rest of our lives and leave the storyline in the past.
I think it's definitely, like Christina talking about the execution of it. We all know I'm not big on the spiritual stuff that happens in Stargate anyway. We've talked about that before. But I think when they actually get to later to like ascension and stuff like that, it's done in a much better way than like what they're doing in this episode, which it makes sense if they just had to like fart it out, like to like solve
Okay, we can be
something.
done
Yeah.
now. Like,
Yeah.
But like, I do appreciate this like tug and pull, because Shari seems to be pulled forward and back a lot, and you can tell there's this fight. So I do appreciate that demonstration that she goes through every time she is speaking to Daniel. You can tell her time is limited. She's trying to get it quickly through, and you can tell something else is kind of coercing, whether it's the Gould, whether it's something in the afterlife, something she's communicating beyond what she is supposed to be allowed to have some sort of purpose. So, but yeah, execution wise, it could have been better, but
I also like have major issues with this episode and kind of hate it for another reason, which we will get into, which is kind of tied to my cryptic image and themes overall. So we'll wait till the end to get to that. Let's get through the episode scene by scene, and then we can like have the discourse. So the episode opens up on a battlefield. There's dead Jaffa strewn everywhere. SG-1, they're freeing people from like this corral who are being held as prisoners, which it turns out it's the Abadosians. If I said that correctly, I don't know. But one of them is Sharae's father, Kasuf, and he tells Daniel the child was taken from him. So if we flash back to season 2 in Secrets, Sharae did have a child birth between her and Apophis. They
Harcesis.
Yep, they were able to steal the child away. Kasuf had the child. It has now been stolen from him. Daniel heads toward this very ornate tent where he sees Sharae outside. The battle heats up. SG-1 are fighting off. Like, they're fighting for their lives, but also kind of unrealistically. Like, it reminds me of the scene of Mulan where, like, the whole Hun army, like, comes down over the...
like the
fine,
impossible defeat, like the impossible
Yeah.
win.
I think there might have been a couple other people, like, randos in the background helping SG-1, but then like Jack jumps on this like it's like a 50 caliber gun mounted on a Malp, and he's just mowing them down. And I was like, Adam was like, "Oh, cool, that's just like a." I'm like, "What is that? I need you to tell me what that is." He's like, "Well, it looks like it's just like a 50 caliber gun mounted on top of a Malp," and but I was like, it's kind of funny, like. I've never seen it before, but I appreciate like, you know, it makes sense that they're winning if they have something like that in their arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
So Daniel follows Sharae into this tent. The child is gone. She tells him, the child, and she, as in Amanette, tells him that the child is hidden away where nobody will find him. And she begins to use the ribbon device on Daniel. Teal'c rushes into the tent and aims his staff weapon at Sharae. He is
Mhm.
torn and doesn't know what to do, and we have our opening credits. So that's kind of like our opening teaser scene. We cut to the infirmary. Daniel is just waking up. He is surrounded by Sam, Jack, Hammond, and Fraser. They tell him that they were freeing the Abadonians. He remembers that Sharae was there, and Jack very bluntly is just like, hey, she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing we can do. So Daniel asks, like, how did this happen? And then we see Teal'c in the doorway. And he tells Daniel that he had to kill Sharae to save his life. To which I was like, you couldn't have, like, shot her in the arm or something, like, to get her off of him. I get it. It's the heat of the moment, but, like,
Like I
I'm
found
not
it.
buying it.
So in the scene where he shot Sharae, they made a point to like he waited until Daniel lost his grip on
Yeah.
his weapon and like made it very clear like that was his defining moment. Like it wasn't prior to that. Like it was definitely Daniel was dying. And at
Mhm.
that point he then gave in. But like Daniel makes up some good points, which we can talk about later of like, well, why didn't we try to still save her? Like, why didn't we do all those things? So I would like to have conversation on Teal'c's decision making in that, and ultimately, like taking a shot to take out a Gould. Like, I mean, it's what they're there to do at the end of the day, and unfortunately, that's what had to happen, and it
Mhm.
was a
Yeah.
tough choice. But
Yeah.
because
I
what's
don't-
he gonna do? Like, if he saves her, he's still saving the Gould. Like, he
Yeah.
is saving the Gould, not Sharae, because we at this point don't really know that Sharae could be saved.
And at that point, like, I don't know if they knew if the battle was won, like how the battle is going, if they're going to be able to get out of here to be able to take her away. It kind of
Mhm.
sucks. Like, that's just what happens in the heat of the moment in a battle type situation. So Daniel denies that she's dead at first. He's like, hey, they have a sarcophagus. They'll be able to revive her. She's still alive and she's out there somewhere. Also, I don't know if you guys see this, but in the notes, I see your little heads bobbing through, like where your cursor is. That's
Oh,
funny.
I see a C for Christina. I can
Oh,
see. Yeah.
well,
I
I
just
have
see a red mark, a red
I put
triangle.
I put pictures for your guys's contacts in my phone, so I see. I'll send you a screenshot, but it's really funny. I like it.
We just like bobbing around, like
Yeah, Apple's got them updates. So anyway, they all of them, Sam, Jack, Fraser, they all are like, they look worried and they're like, come, like, let us take you somewhere. We got to show you something. And they kind of run into Kasuf in the hallway, and Daniel's like, don't worry, she'll be okay. And he's kind of confused because he knows what's up.
Mhm.
And they take Daniel to the morgue and they show him Sharae's body. She is dead. It is the morgue. So I have some dialogue, Daniel, O'Neill, Teal'c, and Kasuf as well. So I'll do O'Neill.
Daniel.
Teal'c, and I can do what?
Kasuf.
It's one Kasuf. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get it.
I'll be the aliens.
Perfect. All right. Why didn't you leave
Extra
her
fun.
there? They would have saved her.
There were no they left.
We were victorious, Daniel Jackson. There was no one remaining to take Sharae to a sarcophagus. We brought Kasuf to prepare her body according to Abadonian tradition.
The good news is we managed to save most of the Abadonians.
And Kasuf says, and for that we are eternally grateful.
And then I touched Sharae. You should have waited longer. I would have gotten through to her.
She was trying to kill you, Daniel.
No, she wasn't trying to kill me. Amanette was trying to kill me.
I have seen many humans killed by Goa'uld ribbon devices. You would have been dead in mere seconds had I not acted.
Teal'c did the right thing, Daniel.
I am sorry Sharae is dead. However, you are my friend. If I had to do it again, I would do the same.
Dun dun. So, yeah, like, it sucks because normally when it's this situation, like it's people that they aren't emotionally attached to. So it's a more cut
Mhm.
and dry situation. In this case though, this is his wife who he's been looking for 3 years and you know. So we cut to the infirmary. Sam visits Daniel, who is inspecting a pen, which this is kind of sweet. He's just like
Mhm.
looking at it, like holding it, like, oh, yeah. And he tells her this really sweet story about
Mhm.
how Sharae saw him using a pen one time and thought it was magic. And I kind of have this little, if you guys
Yeah.
want to read that,
Yeah,
it's this
I'll
really
read it.
cute little dialogue.
All right. A little device like this pen was such a wonder to her. The simplest things were a wonder to her.
Daniel, it's healthy to hold on to those memories.
I couldn't save her. All those wonders we have at our disposal, and I couldn't save her.
So he basically tells Sam to get out of here so he can rest. And he falls asleep and dreams about the moment she was using the ribbon the ribbon device on him.
Mhm.
But I really liked that moment because it actually gave Sharae like a personality instead of just like this doe-eyed trauma figurine of like we have to
Mhm.
save her. Like wow, we're actually getting to learn about her and it's not just like she's this thing off in the distance that we have to save like she was a person. And I really wish we
Mhm.
would have gotten more of that.
It's
So,
almost like we got more Sharae when it was in the original movie.
Mhm.
Like
yes.
she was
Well,
really, really smart and like helped Daniel, find what he needed to find and everything like that. And
and I think that's part of the assumption I think the show was making too, was that people were familiar with her character and her relationship to Daniel. But if you were to just look at her from the show, she does up until now, yeah, you look like
Mhm.
kind of the like helpless, like
Mhm.
damsel in distress. Like that's never been her. So yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
Mhm.
So Daniel wakes up again. He is still in the infirmary, but this time Sharae is by his side. And he's confused, and Fraser's like, what's your birthday? It's July 8th, which I didn't know. So for all my astrology girlies, he's a Cancer, which makes total sense. It's definitely that like sensitive, intuitive,
Mhm.
emotional guy. SG1 tells him the same story as before, but this time they were able to take her to the Tok'ra, who had a sarcophagus and a way to remove the ghoul symbiote. So SG1 and Fraser leave Daniel and Sharae, but she tells him she's only there to tell him about the child. And before she can say anything else, she like disappears. She's like sucked in this beam of light,
Mhm.
and she looks kind of painful. Like she looks like it hurts. Daniel wakes up and realizes that it was just a dream, and Sharae is still, in fact, dead. So we cut to Hammond's office. Daniel is in a nice, chunky knit sweater. Ooh, that makes him look like he's giving really good hugs. I had to put that in there. Um, he hands in his resignation, but Hammond's like, nope, unaccepted.
Yeah.
Which we have some really good dialogue too. So Daniel,
Yeah.
Hammond,
Gotcha.
you guys got this.
Oh yeah. I'm not military, sir, and it's a free country. Last I checked, anyway.
You're obviously in an emotional state right now. You're making rash decisions. Why don't you take some personal time and then see how you feel?
That's not necessary, sir. I joined this program so that I could find my wife. I found her. End of story.
Hmm.
And then he like goes and packs up his
Yep.
stuff.
So now we have, O'Neill, Daniel.
Yep.
Uh,
I think it's just them.
yep, you guys got this. You can read this too.
Yep.
Okay. I'm O'Neill.
Yep.
Yep.
How long are you gonna be gone?
Didn't General Hammond tell you?
What, that you quit? Yeah, he told me that. But come on, we both know you can't stay away.
Then I guess we're both wrong, because I'm gone.
Give it a week. You'll miss me.
Yes, all the salty, bad-tempered insults, all the illogical arguments.
Oh, okay. You'll miss Carter and Teal'c.
I'll miss Carter.
And you'll miss the excitement. All the new cultures you get to explore, the living history. It's the kind of stuff you can't walk away from.
Jack. Up until now, every time I set foot through the gate, I was thinking about my wife. Maybe I'll see her this time. Maybe this is the one. Now, every time I go through, it'd be just some place where hope used to be. That's why I can't do it anymore. I hope you understand that.
The SGC may be the single most important human endeavor for the future of mankind, Not bad, huh? You said that.
The SGC will go on without me.
Also,
Apologies because my cats are fighting hysterically in the background, so I'm not sure how that's going to come
I
through on
don't
audio.
hear it.
But
don't.
like it sounded like death over here. So anyway, my apologies.
That's okay. So he says this thing up until now. Every time I stepped through that gate, I thought about my wife. But it's like, were you though? Were you really?
Tux, are you in timeout?
Like the little feeties in the air.
Keep going.
So it's like,
Just
I don't
keep
know.
going.
I'm just not buying this. Like, this just feels so ham-fisted. Of like, now he's back on his bullshit of like, I've been thinking about her this entire time, but you've gone like lengths and lengths of episodes not fucking talking about it. I'm
And
not
finding
buying
other
this.
ladies.
Yeah, and like shacking up with the princesses and shit. So like, I'm not buying it. Not from an
Mhm.
acting perspective, like not from a Michael Shanks acting perspective, but from a story perspective. The story is flawed. Like, and that's where it feels like, yeah, they're just doing it now to get rid of it and move on with other stuff.
Well, yeah,
Like,
because they would have
They're
addressed
picking
it.
the rug up and they're just like sweeping the trash. Under
Well, because
the rug.
even if they
Right.
had said it a little bit differently, of like, I've realized as I gone along, like obviously I set out to do this for Sharae, and like obviously my purpose has changed, and now like I realize it's come to an end, and I don't feel great about the course I've been on, and
yeah,
like acknowledge the elephant in the room, like just acknowledge that like
like it's
you've
been so long. Like,
yeah
it's time to put this behind me.
yes
Whatever, but like the whole I've been thinking about it every time. No, you haven't.
no
Like,
you've been
at least
fucking other
from
people.
a writing perspective, I'm not buying it. So Daniel passes Teal'c in the hallway. He is angry at Teal'c for like, obviously he shot his wife. It kind of sucks. It's a bad situation. And Teal'c asks, it's really sweet. He's like, is there any Earth ritual in which he could ask for forgiveness? And Daniel's like, nope, hard no for me,
Mhm.
dog. Like, and then he leaves with his chunky sweater on. So Sam, Jack, and Daniel are unpacking his stuff at his apartment. They only see him again at the funeral, and then Daniel plans to get on with his life and move somewhere far away. He's like one of the most remote digs I can find to get away from like all of society. Later that night, Daniel dreams of Sharae again, the moment before her death. So like it's the scene of like her holding this ribbon device
Mhm.
against him, and like that's the image that keeps popping up. He wakes up and Sharae is in bed with him, and he knows this time it's not real. She tells him that he has to continue traveling through the Stargate to find the child, and he also has to forgive Teal'c because Teal'c did the right thing. So he wakes up again. The bed is empty, so again, it was just a dream. We cut to the funeral on Abydos. It's really like quite beautiful. He's wearing his traditional Abydos robes. He speaks for her in a ceremony, speaking like ancient Egyptian.
Mhm.
Sam, Jack, Janet, and Hammond are all there as well. Teal'c is visibly absent. I was looking for this. Teal'c was not there. And I think Teal'c chose to like not show up as a sign of respect. He's like, Daniel would not want me there. Like, I understand he is in pain right now, so I'm just going to exclude myself.
Mhm.
Kasuf pulls Daniel aside and tells him that he has to listen to Sharae and go to her, and he points like around the corner of this tent, and he follows it to see Sharae is there again, dressed in her Abydos robes, and she tells him again he has to find the child. And now Kasuf is like pulled into this like fever dream of a situation. And if you guys want to read this, it's just like a little blurb about the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kasuf says, for he is Harcesis, the one who holds the secrets.
And
then-
Sharae
yeah.
goes,
No, go ahead.
The boy is the son of Tul Gould Host. He contains all the secrets of the Gould. You must find him. And then Daniel just is like, how?
So we are getting something that does contribute to like a bigger storyline about this child. Like, what is the implication of this child? Like, what secrets do they have? So once again, like we see that image of Daniel being tortured again. He wakes up in his apartment and he calls the SGC to ask to speak to Sam. So SG1 are arriving back from a mission. Daniel greets his replacement, who is someone that he trained. I forget, Rothman or something is his name. O'Neill is obviously hating him. He's like, I hate this guy. He's not Daniel. Like, and he even gets caught in a lie of like how terrible he is.
Oh, that was funny.
So he sees Teal'c and he does tell Teal'c like, hey, you did the right thing. And then Daniel turns to Sam. So this is a conversation between the Daniel and Carter. So once again, you guys got this.
Yep. How well do we understand the Gould hand device? How it works?
Well, the best I can tell, it uses a modified version of the power source for the staff weapons, which it channels through amplification crystals that.
No, I meant it works by thought control, right?
Yeah, that's one way to put it. More like thought control amplified with emotion.
Okay, so there is a connection with the mind.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So it's possible to send a thought through it if you had someone in one of those grips like Shari had me in.
As far as I know, Daniel, it's designed to kill.
Okay, but it could do both?
Yeah, I suppose it could. Why?
I'm not sure. I know this may sound like wishful thinking, but I think Shari was trying to send a message to me through the hand device.
What message?
I'm not sure.
So as he has these dreams and like hallucinations, he's like, what if she was trying to tell me something through the hand device? Like, could she emote or like communicate to me through that weapon? So cut to Daniel's apartment, which looks like a museum at one point. Like he's walking
I
through the
love
door
it.
and I'm like, this is a museum exhibit. Jack and Kasuf are there waiting for him because Jack is good at breaking and entering. And Kasuf is dissatisfied that Daniel's leaving SG-1. He's like, hey, Shari wants you to continue traveling among the gods to find the child. And he's like, Shari told him, and Daniel can ask him herself, gesturing to the bedroom door. So then he opens the door, and it's like this, again, we know something's going on. He's like hallucinating or dreaming, and he's back on the planet where she died. She leads him to the tent, and once again, we cut to the scene of him being tortured. He wakes up again alone in his apartment. Cut back to the SGC. For a man who quit, he cannot stay away from that place because he's back again. And Daniel enters Teal'c's living space, his chambers, quarters, whatever they're called. So now we have this conversation between Daniel and Teal'c, which again, you guys got this.
We got this. All right. Teal'c, what happens if two Goulded hosts have a child?
It is strictly forbidden, punishable by death.
Really? Why?
If two hosts were to mate and produce a child, that child would contain all the knowledge of the Goa'uld.
So the genetic memory that Gould have in their DNA is passed on to the human offspring.
That is correct. Such children are called Harcesis. We get it again. The children are hunted down and destroyed by the Goa'uld with great impunity.
So the offspring, the Harcesis, would contain all the knowledge, all the secrets of the Gould that...
Yes, Daniel. Daniel Jackson, it pleases me greatly that once again you value my knowledge.
Common space person knowledge for the win.
Woo-hoo.
But why was this not brought up before when she had the baby? Like Teal'c would have known, like, hey, this kid is important. But maybe that was need to know info at the time. So we cut to Hammond's office. Jack is bitching about Rothman, saying that he has 2 left feet. And then Daniel points out that he did 2 decathlons. So it's like, you're just complaining. You don't like him because like he's new and you miss me. Which, what are decathlons? I thought it was triathlon at first. But
decathlon is 10 track and field events. A person competes in all of them against everybody else. But they don't do it like all at the same. It's not like a triathlon where you do one right after the other.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But he is in shape. Okay, so like Jack needs to chill. So we have Daniel, O'Neill, and Hammond. I think we can just all assume our roles here.
Yep. All right. Trying to get Robert out of your unit?
Well, yeah.
Any chance of that happening, sir?
Only chance would be if you reconsider.
Okay.
Good. So Rothman's gone? Wait, what?
Okay.
Are you kidding?
No, I've given it some thought, and I've decided I'd like to come back.
May I ask why you've changed your mind? You were fairly adamant.
I don't know. Let's just say that there's something through the Stargate that I think I still have to be the one to find.
Now, see, I missed that. I have no idea what it means. but I buy it. What do you say, General Hammond?
I haven't put through his resignation papers yet.
Good, so he's in. And then this fucking cracked me up.
Okay, but
He's
can we
in-
not misgender or dead name?
Yeah, yeah. So, they're all
Just-
like about to go through the gate with the new guy, Rothman, and he says, "Okay, Caitlyn Jenner, sit this one out," as in like because they were an Olympic athlete and Rothman was like a decathlon.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, that would not have
That
been
was-
dead
No.
naming. So, like,
Oh
to
no,
be
not at
clear,
all.
Yeah,
No, not at all. But like, I just feel like
Yeah.
appropriateness to just, even though anyway.
Especially since she's kind of unfortunate in a lot of ways, but that still doesn't mean we dead name her mispronoun.
No,
Misgender.
all people
Yeah.
deserve to be referred to, past
Even
or
if they're
present.
really annoying.
Yes.
and commit vehicular
Caitlyn
vehicular homicide.
All of that. All of that. Yep. Yep.
All of it. Okay, sorry. Just needed to say
So
that. Mm.
SG1 are back at it. They're going off world. They're exploring. They are on this planet, and they put like their whole foot into this planet for like 2 seconds. It was like this bright pink ass trees and bushes and stuff, and it's like they don't put any kind of effort into like other planet. Maybe because it was so short, they were like, okay, we can really like zhuzh this up because
It's
we're gonna be here
literally
for, like-
just like the 5 whatever, it's just
Yeah.
like we don't have to move it for like
yeah.
we don't have to move through this environment for very long. So
And they were probably just in Photoshop, like messing with the levels and shit. That's how they did it.
like
Uh,
yeah.
So they begin their normal like investigating and tests and whatnot. And Daniel just like yeets back through the gate. He's like, "See ya, I'm out of here." And they didn't see where he went before he left. But he's back on the planet where all this thing went down, and he enters that tent again. There are still like dead Jaffa strewn everywhere, but like when you realize it's not real, like it kind of makes sense. But he enters the tent and he sees Sharai again. Would you guys like this
Yes.
dialogue?
Sure. I will charade it up.
Got it.
You're the only one who can save the boy, Daniel.
He's a Harcesis. He contains all their knowledge.
Amunet took the Abadonians as a show so that Heruer would not know her true goal.
To take the boy.
She has sent him into hiding with her closest aide.
Where?
She's starting to
she's-
vanish. Keb.
I know a Keb. There's a reference. It's the mythical place where Osiris hid from Seth. Keb is a myth.
No.
Where is it?
Promise me promise me you will save the child.
I promise.
So they get a nice little smooch in, and then abruptly Daniel finds himself back where he was. He has not been stopped tortured. That sounded really, but he's still being tortured like through this whole episode.
Mhm.
Everything was a vision or hallucination
Mhm.
due to that torture device. His sidearm tumbles to the floor. He drops his gun. Amunet's eyes glow. Teal rushes in. He raises his staff weapon. He shoots her. They both fall down. The ghoul dies, and only Sharai is left. So she tells Daniel that she loves him, and she dies. Teal'c apologizes, but Daniel is right away like, "No, you did what you had to do. You did the right thing." And Sam and Jack enter the tent. Teal'c tells them that Daniel's going to be okay, and he tells Sharai that he loves her too. Fade out. The end. So
Mm.
the whole episode was just like, again, like we zoomed through it so quickly. Like it probably took us half an hour because it was kind of a nothing sandwich.
So
Where-
okay, I have a question before we get
Okay.
into like fun facts, and this may be in there, but before I get tainted by like reading all that, I want to like say this. So do you think, because I view this have being done 2 ways, is the episode like Sharai does the ribbon device and it's all this fever dream and none of it actually happened in reality, and then it ends and then it's done, or does it happen in the very beginning but he has amnesia of that middle point, and so as it goes along he is bouncing back to these memories that happened while the ribbon device was going on, and then like the ending of it is showing that blackout period that we didn't see at the beginning of the opening. Because at the opening, we just saw Teal'c shoot her, but we didn't see any of the conversation afterwards. So, like, my question, I guess, is like, is the episode like bookended by the ribbon device and it all going through, or is it the ribbon device happened at the very beginning and then it's just showing his like memory back to it throughout the episode?
It's
So,
bookended.
like, yeah. So, like,
Like,
are you
it's
saying
because
that
Teal'c doesn't shoot her at the beginning.
we just
Like,
like
we don't
he,
see him
yeah.
shoot her. So it's literally
Mm.
that moment. And that's also the explanation for the title makes sense that way because it's
Yep.
forever in a day.
Yep.
So like it happened all during that moment sort of deal.
Yeah.
Like she's saying these are all the things that are going to go on, and like making sure his mind is sound and
Mhm.
correct in all of that, like helping him go through all the nuances because she knows him so well. Like, here's what's going to play out. Here's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she did, like, it was kind of his way to work through his grief before anything even happened.
Yeah.
Because she was there telling him, forgive Teal'c, don't blame
Mhm.
him. And then
Mhm.
right after he did it, right away, Daniel was like, no, you did the right thing. So it helped him process that. And then it also helped him process, like, I need to stay. I need to stay with the SGC. I can't leave. I need to do this for her. We have a purpose. I need to find this kid. And that's what she would want me to do. So
Mhm.
that I also read it as just like the entire thing was a hallucination from start to finish. So fun facts and discussion. So these are some
Yes.
production notes that I found.
I love that first one.
I do
First
too.
one is called Spoilers Much in Germany, Forever in a Day was listed to viewers' program guides as Charé ist tot, which means Charé is dead. So, spoiler alert.
She's gone.
People in Germany didn't have a chance. So this is where we get to like the shitty aspect of it, like the behind the scenes,
Mhm.
let's make this nothing sandwich and get on with our lives. Michael Shanks came into Brad and I and said, how long are we? I don't know who this, I forget who's saying this, but Michael Shanks came into Brad and I and said, how long are we going to do this Charé thing? It's getting old. And Brad and I hadn't even thought about it at that time. We looked at each other and discussed it a little bit and said, you know, he's right. We're beyond that now. We can get beyond that. So I said, well, why don't we just kill her? Why don't we get rid of her? And well, we're going to get rid of her. Let's really get rid of her. So we did.
Hmm.
That feels yucky to me. I'm not a fan. So then Jonathan Glassner said this in an interview with Gate World. Let's end that quest for him because otherwise it's always going to be if he left or if he cured her or if he rescued her or any of those things, then you're still stuck with it, really, and try to decide what to do with the character, and there wouldn't be anything left to do. So it's like, which leads me to my cryptic image. So refresher, do you want to throw it back up there to refresh us?
Sure. One moment, please. Let me throw this up. There we go.
It's our refrigerator, and this has to do with a trope called stuffed into the fridge. Have you guys ever heard of this?
No.
Yes, but I did not
Enlighten
know
me.
that that's where you were going with that picture.
That's where I was going with this. So
Got it.
Let's
That's a
let's
much
educate.
friendlier picture than what you like could
True.
use with
Yeah.
with that.
There
with
was
that
meat
trope.
in there. There was
And
some...
once you learn about this trope, you cannot unsee it, and it just makes you
Mhm.
fucking angry and furious.
Mhm.
So, stuffed in the fridge is a term for when a loved one is hurt, killed, maimed, assaulted, or otherwise traumatized in order to motivate another character or move their plot forward. The term, sometimes referred to as fridged or fridging, was popularized by a comic book writer, Gail Simone, through her website, Women in Refrigerators. On that site, Simone compiled a list of instances female comic book characters were killed off as a plot device. It is named for a storyline in Green Lantern, A New Dawn, in which a villain, Major Force, leaves the corpse of Kyle Rayner's girlfriend, Alexandra DeWitt, literally stuffed into the refrigerator for him to find. Years later, Major Force repeated the gimmick with Kyle's mother in an oven. It was just a trick with the mannequin at the time, though. The term came to be used more broadly over time to refer to any character who is targeted by an antagonist who has them killed off, raped, and or otherwise brutalized, incapacitated, depowered, or brainwashed for the sole purpose of affecting another character, motivating them to take action. And then there's also a really great video by The Take, a YouTube video, The Woman in the Refrigerator Trope Explained. So I watched it before or after this episode to like re-cement that. But when you think about it, how many heroes are motivated by women in their lives being killed, raped, assaulted, being held hostage? It's a whole fucking movie genre.
Yeah.
Taken with Liam Neeson. That's the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
Superhero movies constantly. Gwen Stacy, like
Mhm.
how Mary Jane Watson in Spider-Man. Like it's this constant theme, and it's kind of dehumanizing for women. They're reduced to nothing but like a MacGuffin of like to propel the plot forward of the male character.
Well, because it's
And-
always like I couldn't save them. It's not just that they died; it's that they couldn't save them, so they're bruised in their space. So it's like it's not
Yes.
just the loss; it's the like they were responsible, and the woman had no like autonomy over that space. Like it's really like sad. Like
It solidifies some toxic masculinity of like men are supposed to be protectors and providers, and he failed to do that, and he's a bad man for failing in that way. So it kind of enforces that toxic masculinity, but then it also reduces women to nothing but things that need to be saved. It takes away their agency. It glorifies the trauma of a woman being assaulted or killed to propel a male storyline forward. But then if you watch the video from The Take, it also explores the other end of like, well, this sometimes happens to male characters as well. But when it happens to them, if they are traumatized or assaulted or even die, it is to fill their own character arc. It fulfills their own or propels their own storyline forward. So Tony Stark, when he is captured in the Middle East in the very first Iron Man movie, that gives him his own character development and pushes him to create the Iron Man suit and whatever. And even when he dies in Avengers Endgame, that is a culmination of his entire arc. So there's a difference between when it happens to men in movies and when it happens to women. When it happens to women, for the most part, it is to propel a man's storyline forward. When it happens to a man, it is to fulfill or propel his own storyline forward. And that is my soapbox about
'cause I'm-
the fridge, the fucking fridge.
Like, I'm trying to think about this because like the only time I feel like I see it or that I can think about that it's happened to propel a woman forward is when it's with her child. They use the in motherhood, like if a child dies, then that's her thing. Like I don't ever see it. So I don't have an issue with in a relationship being liable to take care of the other person or be that protector. I think both parties have this protective piece that's a natural part and should be a healthy part of a relationship to feel like some sort of responsibility and like shame or like sadness that you couldn't be there to protect them. It's not all in one though. And that's the part that's like frustrating about it is that it's so often portrayed, obviously, the damsel in distress, the men saving the women. But like, I just want to be clear, like, I think it's very fair and better to just speak of it in like, as a unit, you lean on each other. There's that protective piece. So it's not that you shouldn't protect the other. It's just that both have a role to play in that space. But I don't know. I don't think of any time I've seen, a husband or a lover die, and then that's what has given a female character her arc.
I'm sure those stories exist. Absolutely.
I want to know.
I think maybe Peppermint. There's a movie with Jennifer Garner. I think I've never even seen it, but I've heard enough about it where like her husband and child are killed, and she goes on her like revenge rampage or whatever.
But again, her child died.
Yeah, so it includes that. You're right. Absolutely. And that kind of, instead of it being the man failing to uphold his masculinity, it's the woman failing to protect her child. But if I highly recommend watching the video from The Take because they really go into it and they explore a lot of aspects of it. But it's more about like removing agency from the woman who is killed and or assaulted. And then like if you look at Game of Thrones, like how much unnecessary rape did they throw in there?
Oh God.
Just to make it like more salacious or more like of a shock factor. So
Mhm.
that's the cryptic image. They fridged Sharae, and bringing it back to Stargate, it was like, again, she had no personality. She really didn't have any agency of her own. And then
Mm-mm.
like add on to the fact that she was a host for a Gould, like they double took her agency away.
I did
Mhm.
hear that.
Yeah. Did you hear
Whenever
that?
this yeah, the scramble.
Aw.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I've just been really quiet because I'm literally combing through my like cinematic knowledge and going, is like I can't think of a good example of it being the other way. It's then, you know, them with children, like Christina was talking about.
Yeah. And a lot of the times when it is like
Maybe Wonder Woman, the newest, the Wonder Woman movies, maybe a little bit.
yeah,
Because what's his name's
Chris
character
Pine.
is,
Yeah.
yeah. But then again, that was like a film made by like a
A
female
woman.
director and
Yeah.
like a woman, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And even when it is a woman who is like taking revenge for like whatever, like if it's like a revenge fantasy, it's like it still requires her to be dehumanized and go through terrible, disgusting, awful
Mhm.
shit. And it's like it just reminds me of that Game of Thrones line that Sansa says of like, if it weren't for all the horrible things, I'd still be a little bird. Like the rape helped build character.
Mhm.
Like it's
Mhm.
kind of yucky. Like tell better
Mhm.
stories. That's old and boring.
Yep.
So that's
Mhm.
that's kind of why this episode pissed me off. Reading the quotes from the story, like, well, they're like, oh yeah, I guess we better deal with this. Let's just kill her off. Like, okay. And then it was so nonchalant, and again, it just kind of felt like a nothing sandwich.
But again, her purpose was still driven by protecting the child. Like it still let her go out with her like messaging was again not about herself or not about anything. It was to protect the child and further that agenda to pass it on to Daniel.
And it's
Yeah.
sad because like we don't learn anything about her. Like you said, we probably learn more about her from the movie than we do through 3 seasons of a TV show. And that's
She's
really
actually
fucking sad.
she's pretty interesting in the movie.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that character is actually really interesting to me in the movie, and then we get to her in the show and I'm like, take her or leave her, you know,
She's
like
just
I
like a
just don't care.
MacGuffin. It's
Yeah.
she's just literally there to propel the plot forward. That's why Daniel is there. And again, like if they were to save her, I guess the showrunners couldn't think of any other thing of like, well, we can't let her live because then Daniel will leave. They couldn't think of
Right.
anything
Mhm.
else like to make it work.
But
And
they
then
couldn't have like had a definitive like there's other ways they could have departed their character, but I guess yeah, if she's still always out there, I don't know.
if she's still alive, then like, oh well, then Daniel won't want to be at the SGC anymore, and we won't have him as a character.
I think it's more than that too. I think they still like, I mean, Daniel was like the sexy guy character, and like we got to get the wife out of the way so he can have like
Mhm.
hookups and stuff, and like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like
Mm.
they wanted to get rid of his baggage. His
Mhm.
like literally wanted to get rid of his baggage.
And it's
Like,
awful. Like I
mhm.
hate what they did to the character, and I don't even know her. And that's like that's the thing. It's like you know that one time she thought a pen was magic, and that's about it. And it's kind of sad. Like
Like he didn't speak about like her intellect or her like how inspiring she was. Like I think about that now. That's actually very frustrating that his like
she was
his
innocent like a child. Like
no, this is gonna really start to piss me off.
sorry, I ruined it for you, but
No,
it,
but it goes back to even the like treatment that we talked about in the episode where he found out she was pregnant. Like it goes back to truly his treatment of her in that relationship because he did treat her like a child. He did view her that way.
Yeah.
That's
It's
actually
almost
quite
like it sucks
frustrating.
that they just had to kill her off and decided to kill her off, but I'm kind of glad they did because like not because I'm mad at her, but the way that her character was just dealt with is just like, just stop then. Just go ahead and stop.
Mhm.
Like it hasn't
Mm.
turned into anything worthwhile like in 3
No.
seasons. So
No. Oh my god.
well, and I
Yeah.
also think about the actress who played her, because, and I can't find it now, but I know that she has gone on record to say that like she really regrets the nudity in the pilot, and like she felt like she was really pressured into it, and that makes me really fucking sad for her.
mhm.
Like going back to that, like she didn't realize what it was gonna be, and like it just happened, and like it really makes me feel sad for her.
Mhm.
So like you wonder like would she even been on as a series regular if they decided to like keep her alive and like move her into the SGC with Daniel or something? Like would that actress have even been available for that?
You know what's even more annoying? Because I just thought about what episode we're talking about next. In the very next episode, Daniel has a love interest.
Mhm.
Ugh.
See,
The very
that's
next
what
one,
they wanted to do.
he has a love interest with an intellectual woman that like ends up being. We won't go into all that because that's next time. But I just was peeking at it because I was like, yep. The very next episode, he has
I
a
didn't look
massive love interest. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Past and present, right?
Yep. Yep. That's so fucking shitty. I have words for these writers and Brad Wright.
So that's why this nothing sandwich of an episode pissed me off. Sorry if I ruined it, but like
No,
I could not like I really liked that YouTube channel The Take, and I watched their videos all the time, so I was already familiar with the trope of like fridging a woman, and I was like they fucking fridged her. I'm already pissed off because like now looking back on it, I can see that that's what they did and how shallow of a character she was to begin with, and
So it's so fascinating because like because I didn't have that knowledge or that thing in my head. Like I totally just appreciated the episode. What is Adam saying? He's bad writing more of this.
Less bad writing, more of the 50 cal, please. And then he apologized for shouting.
Don't
Thank
yell
you.
at us.
less
but-
bad writing, more gun on lawnmower
But like
riding.
No, I love this, and this is why I love our podcast, because if not, we wouldn't have these conversations, because I view that episode because I come from a lens of like I had like I was saying in the beginning, like of lucid dreaming, and like I was like more attached to like their representation of like the hallucination and the like communication piece of it, and like that is what stuck with me, that I didn't have enough extra thought around it to see that part of it.
I'm coming
I
at
think
it
that's
from
so
angry
interesting.
lady perspective.
But like I think it's interesting. But me over here, I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna start talking about like
Just gonna throw this up again.
like a totally different thing. Although, like, what was
It's almost incredibly appropriate that it's that 50s picture.
yeah.
Oh,
like-
100%. Because I mean,
They try to pass it off as wholesome, but riding underneath the candy coated surface is the reality of it.
I mean,
That
I'm
fridge is
not-
gigantic too. I'm just still stuck
I
on
don't
this
even
fridge.
think they made like those big ones like that.
Not back then. They
No.
were small.
Back in the
they
day.
were small.
No, she's
Maybe it
just
was
a
one of
petite
those.
lady.
This is the refrigerators of the future. Like
Okay, but okay, I feel like my guesses were okay, because my first
Yeah,
one
you
was
were
like put
close.
her on ice.
Yeah.
Because I was like the talk about like the sarcophagus, or like put her on ice, but they chose not to put her on ice. They chose to get rid of her. They didn't do that. But then my second one is Keb is a myth, just like traditional gender roles. Because I was like, okay, why did you pick a 50s vintage one, like with the kitchen? I was like, maybe
That's why
it's all a fucking myth.
you were getting closer when you said put her on ice, and I was like, no more questions.
You're like, you're
no more
done.
hints.
And I was like, no, I need to know. I need to know.
But now you know of a horrible trope, and unfortunately, you will be more aware of it when you see stuff, and it will piss you off. Because
I hate it.
I was kind of excited for Law and Order Organized Crime, and then what do they do in the first episode? They fridge Elliot Stabler's wife, and I'm like, God damn it! But now he can be together with Olivia Benson, which has been like a 20-year thing that they should have done forever ago.
Oh God, yeah.
Anyway,
All right. Okay.
sorry
We could
to
go on forever.
make you aware of the awful trope.
No,
But yeah,
no.
watch that video because
I will.
like the more you know.
The more you know.
Rainbow,
Oh my God.
the more you know, the
All
more you'll
right.
be angry.
I feel like, Sarah, this earns you a closing the iris for
How?
that.
wait, are you just avoiding again? Wait, didn't
Yeah.
you avoid last time? I just know
No.
I've done quite a few of them. So
I don't know.
no,
I truly
no, I
don't
can
know
go.
whose turn it is.
No.
I don't know.
No. No. I can do it. But when we're ready, are we ready? No, we got more to talk
Do we have
about.
any more thoughts? Because that was all I had.
No, that's pretty much I mean, I think we solidified why, like at the beginning, I was like, meh. Like, okay, now I know why. Meh.
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 Thanks for the nothing sandwich. I'm still hungry.
Meh.
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 Yep.
Oh god. Okay, hold on. I gotta think about it. I can close the iris because I'd rather do this one than next week.
I actually have a good one though.
Oh well, then do it. I'll do next week. It's okay.
All right, I'm going to the fridge for this awful nothing sandwich. Close the iris.
Meh.
Meh.